Hey everybody, thanks so much for coming back to our channel, and thank you for joining us for week 8 of our 10-week series, How to Buy a Great Home here in Central Maryland. So this week we're going to cover step number 8, and that is talking about title and title insurance. And today I'm joined by Chris Breck from Charter Title, and Chris is one of our experts here in title, and he's here to help answer all of our questions and to give you guys a great overview of what title looks like in Maryland. So, Chris, would you mind telling the viewers out there, first and foremost, what is a title company?
That's a good question. A lot of times we're kind of behind the scenes, a lot of people feel like. But most people are going to remember us at the settlement itself. So I know that's the next step.
Right.
But we're the person that you remember at the settlement table. We bring that stack of papers and explain everything to the buyer, make sure they understand. And obviously we'll go over it in advance with them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But behind that, we serve a function of escrow.
Okay.
So there's a lot of money changing hands when you buy a house, and we're a trusted source where all the money can go. And then at settlement, we'll sign something that agrees, where this money is going to go afterwards.
Okay.
And then one step behind that is the title insurance, and I know we're going to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah,
as well.
We're going to talk about title insurance in just a little while. So, Chris, when we talk about using the services of a title company, what's kind of like the first steps that you guys do when we employ the services of a title company?
So we'll get the contract. We'll just go through everything, make sure we understand what's going on, confirm, all the numbers that are presented in the contract. We'll contact the lender if they're involved. Make sure we establish contact with them, establish contact with the agents and the buyers and sellers. There's a few preliminary docs that buyers especially need to sign. We're going to ask them how they want to hold title, which is called tenancy. We'll explain that. Okay. We ask if they want a survey or not, just to kind of get a real true view of what the borders of this property look like. And we start talking about title insurance, make sure they understand what they're buying.
Okay. And then you guys also do a title exam when we start the process of buying a home, right?
Yep,
so what's the function of a title exam? Why do you do that?
We're making sure the seller owns the house, and we're making sure they don't owe anybody any money. So we go through the land records, we go back 60 years, and we just check every deed of trust that was recorded, and make sure that it was released properly and the proper people signed everything.
And that's pretty important if you're buying a house, right? You want to make sure that you buy a house that you're the only one who can lay claim to it, and nobody can knock on your door later on, right?
Absolutely. We call that marketable title.
We
give you marketable title.
So that's really important if you're buying a home, right? You want to make sure that you have a great place to be able to live. So you were talking about, they can, through the closing process, people can get a survey done, and then various other things as part of the closing process. About how much does a survey normally run for things that normal people, or a usual single-family home in suburban Maryland? How much?
So a location drawing is going to cost you maybe $300.
Okay. And
that's going to be, we're going to read the legal description of the deed. The legal description is what you're actually buying. It's like a description of the borders of the property. So they'll read the legal description and draw it out on paper. And they'll also identify if there's any easements, encroachments, anything else that physically affects the borders of the property. Okay.
So people who you would recommend getting a survey would probably be people buying a home with some land, right?
Absolutely. I would get a survey every time, just to make sure. Number one, you want to make sure the legal description is correct, because you're buying whatever that description says. Okay. You're not buying the pictures on the MLS. You're not buying what the seller says they're selling you. You're buying whatever that deed says, and you want to get a visual of what that actually is.
So that makes really good sense. It's good due diligence on the part of a buyer, no different than a home inspection, where we want to make sure that we're buying a good, a healthy bill of goods. Same thing. You want to make sure that you inspect what you're buying.
Absolutely. And beyond that, there's a boundary survey, and that's when they physically come out. They put the stakes in the corners. They put the flags on the boundary. Mm-hmm. That's closer to $1,000 or more. We recommend that if there's some kind of boundary dispute, or if you're subdividing land or something like that. But it's one of those. I'm not gonna call it overkill, but a lot of times it's more than people really need, just for the basic layer of due diligence.
Gotcha. Perfect. So, okay, then. So now let's touch on title insurance and what exactly title insurance is, because a lot of people have that question when we're going through the process. Well, what is title insurance? Why do I need it? And what's its function? So would you mind enlightening the viewers? First of all, what is title insurance?
So title insurance protects the homeowner's right to own that property.
Okay.
It's one of those things, like back in the day, they didn't really have a system for that. And people would buy land or houses or something, and it would be fraudulent, and there was no recourse. Like Abe Lincoln lost his house to false title claims 2 times.
Get out. So there you go, right?
Yes. So Abe Lincoln will tell you all about title insurance.
Honest Abe.
Honest Abe, and it's one of those things that it's your home is, for most people, it's the financial cornerstone of their financial independence. They use that equity in the house to fund their retirement, to pay for kids' college, whatever, and you just want to protect it.
Single biggest asset most people own.
Absolutely, and title insurance, it's similar to homeowners insurance or car insurance. Like if you do lose your home, it will pay you for the value of your home, but that's really not what it's most used for. It's most used for defense against claim. So it actually handles the court costs of going to court and fighting a claim. If somebody claims they own your house, you got to hire an attorney and go deal with it.
Okay.
If you have title insurance, we hire the attorney, we deal with it, and you get the best attorneys in the country behind you.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how could somebody potentially lay claim to a house? Like how could, what are some of the ways that you may need to employ title insurance?
So some of the basic ways you might see, they call it mechanics lien. So that would be somebody did some work on the property and they weren't paid, so they issue a lien against the property. Okay. They could come back and say, hey, I fixed the roof, and my thing was on record, and you got to pay me for the roof. And basically, whoever owns the house at the time is going to own that money.
Gotcha.
I've seen a seller just straight up claim, I never sold my house. I wasn't there. Everybody in here is in cahoots against me. And we had to go to court and defend the claim, defend this person's claim that, yeah, they bought the house. I did the closing. I was there. I had to, testify that they were there, and it took 3 days. And that's, attorneys are expensive.
Right. Yeah.
That was a lot of time, and it cost the buyer nothing because they had their title insurance.
Gotcha. Okay. Does it protect from outside things? Does it if somebody just out of the blue were to come lay claim against the property, or say that your property line's wrong? Does it protect against those types of things?
So it will cover anything that happened so a basic policy will cover anything from day of settlement back in time.
Okay.
So basically, the title company makes a mistake, and there isn't another owner out there. Maybe somebody was supposed to inherit the property, and it wasn't properly cleared. It would cover that.
Gotcha.
Enhanced policy has a little more future value. It has something covers post-policy forgery, which would be somebody just creating a deed and saying they own your house.
Okay. So what I'm hearing though is there is 2 types of title insurance, right? There's a basic title insurance policy, and then there's enhanced title insurance.
Yep.
And enhanced, of course, gives you more protection, especially in the future. So now with title insurance, right? We have a lot of consumers here who are going to be shopping around for things. Title insurance. How often do you pay for that? Is that something I pay for every year? How does that work?
Great question. It's not like homeowners insurance. You don't pay for it every year. You pay for it once, and it's good for as long as you or your heirs own the property.
Okay, so that's a really good value, right?
Right.
And how much are we talking about for title insurance? I realize some of it is specific to a particular property, but ballpark, what are we talking about for title insurance?
Well, there's another thing to consider. There's a third type of insurance, title insurance, and that's lender's title insurance.
Okay.
So if you get a loan, the lender's going to make you buy a policy to protect them.
Okay.
That really doesn't do anything for the buyer. That just really ensures that the lender can foreclose on the property if they have to.
Okay.
But if you get that, you get what's called a simultaneous issue, and your owner's insurance policy becomes discounted.
Oh, okay. So if you have to get lender's insurance, your owner's policy is discounted at the same time.
Absolutely. And
gotcha.
The lender's insurance policy is based on the loan amount. Owner's policy is based on the purchase price.
Okay. So two very different things, because they depending on how much cash somebody brings to the table. And then, so is there a figure to be able to figure that out, or is it all dependent on just those prices?
There's a lot of factors to it. I would hate to throw out a number and misquote somebody here.
That's okay. This is all about giving our people good information. So that's,
Yeah, and you can get a quote from us anytime. We're happy to look at the situation and lay it out. And there's another factor, and there's something called a reissue rate. So if the seller already had a policy, you can get what's called a reissue rate and get another discount.
Oh, okay. So that's another potential discount that people can get on a policy. There is if you find out if the seller actually had a policy already in place, and then you can get it discounted.
If you want to estimate it, you could say about $3.50 per thousand of your purchase price will get you in the ballpark. But I would really talk to a licensed title producer before and get the real numbers.
Awesome. Chris, anything else that you'd like to tell the viewers out there about title and things people should know about title companies?
So it's the buyer's right to choose the title company. Really, it's whoever's paying for the title insurance policy's right to choose. Unless you're buying from a new construction builder, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But I would say trust your realtor. Some people like to go around and shop and try to get the best deal. I get it. But your realtor's going to know who's going to give them the best service, who's going to be the best at communicating, who's going to get you to closing without a lot of headaches and get you through that day. So I would say just trust your realtor. Look them up online. You can get plenty of reviews online. This is, even though we sell title insurance, we're a customer service business. Mm-hmm. So customer service is very important.
Yeah, because not all title companies are created equal. No. So, well, awesome. Well, Chris, thank you very much for coming out and joining us today. Guys, obviously, thanks Chris Breck from Charter Title. They are one of the title companies who we highly recommend to all of our clients. Just because they do a fantastic job, in my opinion, bar none, best title company in the area for customer service and for taking care of our clients. You have a really fantastic settlement experience with them when we go through that process. So guys, if you liked our content today, please do us a favor, hit subscribe down in the corner, and then also hit the little thumbs up button there, because that thumbs up button helps us with the YouTube algorithm and everything, and so other people get to see our video. So thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Jeremy, and we'll see you next week when we talk about step number 9 to owning a home here in Central Maryland, and that is closing. So we're actually going to talk about what happens on the closing day and that whole process that goes with it. Thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
If you have any questions about title insurance, surveys, tenancy, any of the topics we discussed today, please put them in the comments below. We're happy to answer these for you. Thank you.